Hello and welcome to the Arena Sports Show. My name is Clauiee Grace Mpanza, and as Eminem would say, oh, Slim Shady, guess who's back?
Back again. Sizwe's back.
Oh, you're terrible. Sizwe Mabena, good to have you back.
Yo,
Man,
good to
you've
be
been gone for a while. You come back dripping, color coordinating. Can we please show the viewer how Sizwe is color coordinating right now?
exactly.
The gray is graying. Talk to us about that.
Jay, just different shades.
Oh,
different
new
shades of
shoes,
grey.
by the way. Yeah, new shoes. Those are new shoes. He calls these the, what do you call them? The
My
Roberto
Roberto
Carlos.
Next week will be the Sergio Ramoses and so on.
And then
Yeah,
Zinedine Zidane very
yeah,
soon.
the Zizou soon.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're good to be back, yo.
Listen, we've missed you, and it pains me to say that we've missed you, but we really have, and it's good to have you back. And yes, I am good, even though my favorite influencer is not with us today. Unfortunately, he's caught a bit of the flu, but he will be back soon. We have a jam-packed show lined up for you today. Listen, a top-tier conversation with two top-tier gentlemen that you'll get to see in a bit. But for now, let's start by finding out what's happening in your top stories.
Sasha Feinberg, Ngomezulu and Enyukla will make their first test starts for South Africa against the Wallabies in Brisbane on Saturday. The Matchday 23 squad features only 3 changes from the group that faced the Irish, with the only new players being Low, two-time Rugby World Cup winning scrum half Kobus Reinach, and replacement utility forward Ben Jason Dixon. Tears flowed at the start of France on Tuesday night. There were tears of frustration from an off-form Lau Pillay and tears of dashed hopes of narrowly missing the Olympic final for hurdler Raquel Joseph. And then tears that came from a cruel twist of fate when Zane Geldenes, the other 400-meter hurdler, mistakenly thought she had qualified for the final after running an incredible lifetime best, only to learn that she had missed out by 1 spot and by 1/10 of a second. The MTN8 quarterfinal continues this weekend with Sekhukhune United hosting Cape Town City at the Pitso Mosimane Stadium and Polokwane City visiting Mamelodi Sundowns at Lucas Moripe Stadium in Athletico. They will be out to book their places in the semi-final stages, where they will join Orlando Pirates and Stellenbosch, who overcame SuperSport United and TS Galaxy respectively last weekend.
Well, a lot has been happening in the world of sport, and our very own Sizwe Mabena has been commentating, of course, some of the Olympic football games. Mabena, how has that been?
I'll tell you what, the future's bright.
Yeah.
For football, not just on the men's side, I've enjoyed Morocco and Egypt getting out of the group stages and doing well, Egypt beating Spain, Morocco playing some of the best African football I've ever seen, never mind the age groups or the fact that there's so many young players there, but the future's so bright for both those nations.
Yeah.
But for football on the whole, Spain playing some lovely football, but more so on the ladies' side.
Before you get to the ladies' side, Sizwe Mabena, I wanted to ask you, because I remember when Neymar was doing well at the Olympics, and that was a special time with Brazil getting that gold, and we thought, man, what a talent this young star is. Who is the potential young star Neymar that you see in this Olympics?
There's this young lad from Morocco whose name escapes me now, but he was their number 10 jersey. Unbelievable. Plays out wide on the right.
Yeah.
For me, he's been unbelievable, a true star for the Moroccans. And someone I'm really looking forward to seeing playing in the next 5 or so years. I think he's going to take over. They're that good, the Moroccan side. But again, that said, the ladies' football is really where it's been at for me. The US, unbelievable as always. Brazil, they've never won an Olympics. By the way, the Brazilian ladies side, Martha's still playing, still having a huge influence. They beat Spain to get through to the finals, so the final should be interesting between the US and Brazil, 2 of the best sides, of course, there. But the quality of football, Chloe, some of these young ladies, Dennis Rodman, I don't know if you remember him, the basketball star alongside Michael Johnson. His daughter can jam. She plays out wide on the right side for the US. Star, amongst the many stars on the US side. And I fear what the US has to give the world in the next 5 years with those youngsters coming through. So I've really enjoyed the ladies' game at the Olympics.
Well, we definitely have. A lot has been happening in terms of the Olympics and trying to keep up. But our very own Akani Simbine, so close. But man, just so far away. But still, I mean, breaking a national record. So we're still proud of his personal best. So let's quickly find out what Akani has to say.
I know a lot of South Africans were watching me. The Springboks won on the stadium, you know, and it's one of those things where I'm just like, dude, like, it's a moment of history, you know. There's no South African that has ever been in 3 Olympic finals and placed higher than me. I'm the one that's doing this thing for the first time for every South African, you know. And that's a great thing in its own, you know. I might not be getting the medals and stuff, but what I'm doing is I'm changing how sprinting is seen in South Africa, and I'm motivating a lot of kids, and that is really great.
Oh man, such lovely words from Akani Sizwe
When you said the
Mabena.
Springboks won here.
Hey,
Like,
bruh,
I was
you got
trying. I was like, oh, he's all right. He's like, you know what I mean? But he's
dude.
right, though. He's taking us
Yeah.
to new levels. It was so close, man. So close. And what a race. What a race. They'll be talking about that race for a long time to come.
Definitely we'll
Yeah.
be talking about that one to come. But we've got our usual feature, Star of the Week. Since you haven't been here, Sizwe Mabena, Graces, who has impressed you in the past few days?
I was so tempted to say Noah Lyles, but then I can't front on Julian Alfred. Didn't know of her before the Olympics. She comes out and wins the women's 100. So for me, I was so impressed with her because
Yeah.
she's the first. She's made history, the first St. Lucian sprinter
Nice.
to ever win gold. First gold for St. Lucia ever. I didn't even know there was a St. Lucia before she came along.
Yeah.
And then she also went and won the silver in the 200, which is the reason why she gets my Star of the Week over Noah Lyles. Always, with for me, the Olympics, the 100, 200, and so on, are always the highlight for me for the Olympics.
Sure.
And for me, she's the Star of the Week with what she's done. Little known, but superstar now.
Definitely.
And I have to ask you your Star of the Week. I know you're going international, you're going trade
Sizwe Mabena, I absolutely hate you. By the way, he already knows who my Star of the Week is. So this little jab that he's trying, I'm not too sure what's going on with him. But nonetheless, my Star of the Week is Vincent Pule. And
as well, yeah.
no, 100%. And maybe just to break it down, I mean, yes, he played his first game against the Orlando Pirates over the weekend. But for me, it's not only the fact that he can still play and ball like that, because he really fought for super sport out there, but it was just the manner as to how he was received from the players, from the fans, and how he also, just responded back to everybody else. So I thought, man, it just shows, the kind of person that Vincent is. And it's one thing to leave Orlando, but we've seen so many players, Mabena, who are bitter after they leave, and they just want nothing to do with big clubs because they feel that they didn't want to leave. But not with Vincent. All the players came to hug him. Some of the technical staff came to hug him and just talk to him. And it was nice to see that side that, okay, it's not bad blood, as much as, yes, he's not part of Orlando Pirates anymore. But what they say, once and always. And for this generation to see that, it's beautiful.
For me, firstly, the quality he brought through with Krobler.
Yeah.
From a Supersport United point of view. Many youngsters, but here you got the experienced players doing their thing.
Yeah.
And also the touch where he scored and wanted to celebrate, but
It
doesn't
was like,
celebrate.
nah.
That was a dignified way
Yeah.
of handling the whole situation. He could have gloated.
He could have, yeah.
He could have, but he handled it like a gentleman. Yeah, like you say, man, he's one guy, one could argue, didn't get a fair shake. Yes, you're right. He was hot to Pirates, then he got injured, and maybe didn't get a fair shake after that. You could argue it this way or that. We never
Yeah.
know what happens behind the scenes.
For sure.
But I like the stride in which he's taking things,
A true gentleman.
Yeah, he's
yeah.
taking it beautifully. And he's certainly someone who's added value since his Pitfest days. So, hey, big up to him. Nice play of the week, by the way.
Oh, Sizwe Mabena. Listen, we'll take that. But we move over to chat all things the MTN8, and we have Linda Mtambo, who is the captain of Sekhukhune United, to talk to us about the preparations of the team. And then on the flip side, we got two gents who are better than Sizwe Mabena. I can guarantee you that. But we have, of course, a stellar conversation with the two gents. But for now, here's Figo.
We are here because of the money. Yes, the talent is there. We are doing something that we love. But what makes us wake up every morning is having to put food on the table. So with MTN8, 3 games, like you said, giving us an opportunity to win 10 million, it means incentives will come our way should we win the tournament. So yes, it's an extra motivation. Bonuses and stuff like that are a motivation. At the end of the day, we've got contracts to honor. We need to perform, irrespective of the stake, the prize money that's there. We still need to play and play for the badge. So that's what comes first, playing for the badge before the incentive. But yeah, look, you can't run away from knowing that if you win, there's an incentive that you might receive. So yeah.
Well, we move over now to chat all things the MTN8, and we bring two special guests who have never won the MTN8, but they have participated in it. Lehlohonolo Majoro has done it 4 times, finals, didn't get it, and Musi Matlaba only once, so we can forgive him for not winning it. But Major, I'm not too sure. Sizwe Mabena, how many times have you commentated?
The finals?
The MTN8 final, yes.
I never really count, but a good number of times. I think I've done it more than a good Major has missed out in the finals. There's 4 finals missing out on the MTN8. In fact, I want to ask both of you, how does it feel missing out on the MTN8 final after having reached it so many times?
It's the most painful experience, I don't want to lie. Like, because from the start of the tournament, like, you guys tell yourself, like, I know this season we're winning it. Remember, it's the first competition of the season.
Yeah.
It's the one that normally people gauge themselves in terms of fitness
For sure.
and the preparations and everything. So to lose it, hey, it's quite a steep, eh?
Yeah.
Because like now you have to quickly shift from losing the final now
Back to the league.
back to the league. And most of the time it happens that it's either you draw or you lose the next match.
So what about you, Musi? I mean, from a performance analyst coach, does the pain hurt as much from a player's perspective? I mean, yes, with you it's only been once, but did it hurt that one time?
Yeah, it did. I think also the manner that it came in,
Yeah.
I think that day Wits, they totally outplayed us. I think it was a 3-0 defeat. So it did hurt. It's the one that's gotten away. And I don't know how it feels to have a medal or a ring, as they said back in the day. But I think it hurts just as much because I'm watching the game as it's happening. I think maybe while you're playing it, maybe your focus is more on the game, and my focus was already on looking at the clock and seeing like there's 2 minutes left and hoping for a little miracle. Yeah.
How do you prepare for a cup competition like the MTN8? Because Major speaks of, it's literally right at the beginning. So we do know that preseason is just as important for the players, and I'm sure the technical team as well. So how do the preparations look like for a cup like the MTN8?
Yeah, I think it's a tricky competition because, like Major said, you want to see that the things that you've done in preseason come out, and maybe even in the first 15 minutes, you're already like, this is not working. So does that put the whole 5-6 weeks that you prepared into a bit of a question?
Yeah.
But I think if you just take it as part of the season, fortunately there's no points. So even if you lose, it hurts to lose, but you don't lose any standing on a table as such. So you get over it, I think, pretty quickly.
Especially when you have a lot of competitions to get to.
Especially. But I like the fact that you guys both worked and played for big clubs that come with pressure. I say that because when it comes to the MTN8, although it's only the start of the season, sometimes not winning it means pressure already early on in the season, especially if you're the Chiefs, Pirates, or Sundowns. What's that like when you with those clubs and early in the season already the fans are unhappy?
Yeah, remember when you play for those big teams, you're expected to win each and every game. And it's also the standard that us as players, we want to live by. That like each and every game, we have to win it.
Yeah.
A draw sometimes feels like a loss. Can you imagine like now when you lose MTN8, you go to like the trophy cabinet, you say like, oh, it's been long ever since we've won, and how many trophies are still to be played.
For sure.
So -1, we are out. It's better to win the first trophy early so that like you have that motivation. You know that like now we've already conquered the first tournament, then the next one through belief and point of reference as a trophy. Like you guys, quickly things happen. You gel, like things fall into place. You start winning easily.
You definitely do. And I mean, Musi, just to carry on that, right?
Yeah.
You look at Mamelodi Sundowns, and perhaps let's just go to the quarterfinals that just played, Orlando Pirates and SuperSport United, with Orlando Pirates, of course, then advancing as the defending champions. But I want to talk to you about, the preparation just a bit deeper, because you look into the synergy that Orlando Pirates had into this game, and SuperSport, all the new players that were given a chance, whereas Pirates didn't start any of their new players. Talk to us about having new players being introduced in a cup that starts literally at the start of the season.
Yeah, so I think it works both ways. There's pros and cons to it. You know, like you said, Pirates didn't really introduce anybody new. So it's continuation from last season. So it's like the players know each other. The instructions from the coach are maybe similar, or they grasp onto it a little bit better. When you look at Supersport, who always have good youngsters coming through, it's a big stage, you know, as the first game. Sometimes you can get away with it if you sneak the league first. You know, maybe you start with a game away to Polokwane that's maybe not televised or whatever, but you come straight to Orlando Stadium, you know, in the bright lights. But it's a moment where you're either going to sink or swim. And I think on more occasions than none, the youngsters at Supersport usually swim. You know, you've seen it with the transfer of some of the players overseas as well. So I think for the coach, he knows what he's going to get out of the youngsters. It's a building block for them.
For sure.
And if it works out, it works out. And if it doesn't, they still have the whole season to get it right.
What did you think of the conditioning of both those teams? In fact, all four of the teams we saw in the opening weekend, where it seems they're playing very high tempo, very demanding physical games right at the start of the season. So what do you think are the preparations for the season?
Yeah, so the one thing I would say that maybe a lot of people don't know is the conditioning and the physicality of South African players, or the South African league, is very high in terms of, in comparison with Africa and even the Middle East. You know, a lot of the times we would look at some of the players or some of the teams we were at and we're like, could they be a little bit faster? Because in South Africa we run, you know, and I think if you told somebody that was the middle of the season, I think somebody would believe it from that game, you know. It's a bit sad for the coaches and maybe for the players that the game already went to 120 minutes for the Pirates game in the first game. But the players are up for it, they're ready for it. So I just thought it was amazing. Like it was a good kickoff to the season.
It was. And Major, I mean, one of the teams that you played for, unfortunately, they didn't make it to the top 8. But they're wishing that maybe there could be a top 10 somehow. But it's just not possible right now, right? But now, teams that...
Which one? Which team?
Which team? Which team did you play for?
Amazulu.
The big team, boy. The big team. Kaizer Chiefs, though, right? But now you look at not only Kaizer Chiefs, also the other teams, right, that have not made it to the top 8. Now, how do you prepare? Because now you're watching your other teammates, other colleagues, rather. They're playing, and yes, some advance, some don't. But then what's the conversation like, you know, between the team, yes, that has not qualified, but also when you have a mate? Because I know you're friends also with, you know, other players. I don't know if you've retired or not. Well, that's a conversation we'll have another day. But, you know, that conversation between players, how is that?
Yeah, I'm sure like it feels as if like preseason, it will never end for them, because for those teams who are not in the top 8 now, they've started preseason early, and with the league being pushed a bit back due to MTN8 and international coming up. For us as players, when you don't have games to play and you see other teams playing, it kind of like demoralize you or makes you feel like I don't want to be in this situation again come next season. We want to work harder. Yeah, and there's a lot of off days that coach now have to contemplate whether to give or not to give, because if you overwork the players, come when you need them the start of the league, it becomes a bit of a problem, because some of them might have been overworked and never performed to their highest level. You can give them off and some of them slack, you know how it happens. So it's a bit of a win or lose situation at this point in time as the teams that are not in the top 8.
You know why, Mabena, he's perfect for this question?
Yeah.
I remember when he was about to leave Orlando Pirates, there was a tweet that you put out. I don't know if you still remember the tweet, where he said...
Can we not live in the past?
We're not living in the past.
So he's studying everything on social media.
No, and that tweet, I don't know.
You remember the tweet?
Whichever tweet. No, I remember that tweet was a bit of a...
Tell us about this tweet. I want to dive to know about this tweet.
I don't want to live in the past. It was in the past, and it happened, and it was never the message was never received the
The way you intended it.
Yeah, the way I meant to say it.
Yeah.
So what did you mean?
I can't remember the tweet.
Must I tell you the tweet? Okay, so the tweet was, let me actually get it,
No.
because I
wrote
have
it down.
it down
Can't
for
we-
you, Major.
Talk about doing a research.
No, I do. Open quote, tired of being a spectator, close quote. That was the tweet.
That doesn't seem like a bad tweet.
It doesn't seem like a bad tweet.
That's actually a positive. If I was a coach and my player wrote that, I'd be thinking, or if I'm a fan and one of my team, the team I support, one of the players writes that, I'm thinking, yeah, that's the spirit.
Now, people thought that tweet was related to football. What if it was about my life? What if I felt as if like I was a passenger in my
Major,
own
tell
life?
us what you meant. I didn't know. I
No,
should know
but
you
like,
know
what
the tweet.
difference is it going to make?
Because you're clarifying it, Major. We don't have time. As Major.
I'm perfectly fine the way everything is. I don't have any bad blood with anyone.
You are terrible. So you're not going to clarify this?
No, I'm saying I can't remember when I wrote that tweet, but I think it was
Received.
along the lines of me talking about my life, feeling as if like I'm a passenger, because I always try to push myself to become
Okay.
better than I was yesterday.
May I at least ask if it was received the way you intended it?
Exactly.
Because I look at it positively. Were there some that saw it the wrong way?
Yeah, no. People like remember like everything as footballers, everything that you say,
Yeah.
even if it's not related to football,
Yes, we're looking
they
for scandal,
always find a way
Yeah.
to make it as if it's a football thing.
Sure.
Yeah,
I
we have
hear
life
you.
after. Oh, okay. Maybe in the morning there's football, then after that there's
life.
another life.
Yeah.
Like now, life of being a dad.
Life of being a dad and carrying this beautiful trophy around.
Well, finally.
Finally.
I just wanted to ask something quickly. Now, we spoke about teams that are waiting to start the season, having to wait for the MTN8 to get out of the way. What about those that started the MTN8 last week? Let's say Supersport or Galaxy, and then lost. And they've come from pre-season, the season started, you've had these grueling matches, or this one grueling match. Now you're going back to pre-season almost for the next few weeks until the league starts again. What's that like now in the switch? Can you imagine that?
Yeah, it's a bit of an unknown, an anomaly, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, because you worked so hard for 5 weeks, 6 weeks to get players riled up just for one game, physically ready,
Yeah.
and almost now you're asking them to take the foot off the accelerator again. You know,
Sure.
like Major mentioned it, like your conditioning and your program has to be very good, because are you going to push the guys for another 6 weeks, and then by the time the league kicks off, you know, it's almost like they've played 8 games in the league, but they haven't actually played a single game.
Yeah.
So I think mentally, the coaches, the technical teams have to figure it out of how to keep the guys engaged, but also how not to overexert their physical capabilities right now.
So it's eluded you at when you were at Sundowns, right? When you look at Mamelodi Sundowns now, with the changes that they also have, how far do you think they can go into this competition, knowing that, yes, they also have, you know, the Champions League, Orlando Pirates, same thing, the CAF Champions League. So how do those teams manage, you know, a tournament like this, bearing in mind that there's more tournaments to come?
Well, I don't want to speak for Sundowns now, but when we were at Sundowns, it still is the same. You're expected to win every trophy that's available, and you have the means in terms of the player quality and the number of players to challenge for everything. So I don't think it's a real hiccup for them. I think they will see it as another trophy that they have to win, and it's probably not sitting well with them that the last 2 editions have been going to a big rival like Orlando Pirates, you know. So I'm sure they definitely want to get their hands on this trophy.
So Major, I know that the Legends also have, you know, clubs that they've chosen. What's your club? Which club are you going for as the winner for this trophy?
Yeah, I so wish that this interview was done like earlier on.
Earlier on, your team will be knocked out.
So yeah, no, my team was TS Galaxy.
Oh,
So
no.
based on the circumstances that they are facing, also they couldn't make it to the semi-final. So I'm out, but I'm still in.
Kachiriti or Joang, how are you in?
I'm the ambassador of
Oh, like
MTN.
that.
I'm the
Oh,
legend. Like
like
I'm the
Dog, so when
bodyguard.
you lose
So I
this
never
cup,
lose.
and all
I'm the
aspects-
bodyguard of this trophy. I need to make sure that it goes to the rightful owner come the end of the tournament.
You've been doing well though in
Talk-
terms of making sure it's safe.
Talking about legends, a question just jumped up at me now. I never even thought about this before in our prep. But when they call former players, you guys call each other for legends games, who are you going to play for? Think about it. You know what I mean?
The good thing is with this, there's no contract, right?
Yeah.
So I'm free to play
For whoever.
for whoever that feels needs my services at that particular time.
Really?
So
So there's no
it's-
one where you like
It's,
Noki.
it's like my pool of teams is a bit wider as compared to others. So I can play for whoever that I can play for. Isn't it? I can.
Make an in-season transfer.
Exactly. there's no transfer deadlines. There's no. We are short of players. Major is just a phone call away.
And any team, you go running.
As long as I played for that team.
I
yeah.
was Lulu City. Chiefs fire.
This is well. Like
Yeah.
you've quite the traveler actually.
Yeah, no, I wanted to explore our country. We have a beautiful country.
Yeah, you surely did. Huh?
No, but you definitely did. So now I think we've covered this, and maybe before we wrap up the MTN8, your charity. So does that mean that the one that you've chosen is also knocked out? So how are you progressing going forward in terms of the MTN8? What could you still possibly look forward to on your side?
MTN has always been one of the creative and try to find ways of being innovative each and every year. As this season, this past weekend started, it was the 16th year ever since MTN has been trying by all means to spark that passion
For sure.
for the love of the game. And one of the things that they have done is they try to make sure that each and everyone, be it a customer, be it a journalist, be it a legend, charity,
Yes, boy.
everyone wins with MTN. Like now we have last fan standing. What they have done this year is that each and every week, when you recharge with 10 rand or more, they're gonna select 4 last fan standings within the period of 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And those 32, there'll be 32 all in all.
Okay.
So those 32 fans, they'll travel to watch the final,
Do
wherever
you
it's
know
gonna
where
be.
it's going?
Wherever it's
Do
gonna
you
be.
know where it's going, Major? Hint, hint.
I don't know.
Oh my
I don't know.
goodness,
I would
okay.
love to know. So those fans, they stand a chance of winning 1 million rand in cash. And there's also last journalist standing, which is one of the brand new ones that has been introduced, where journalists, whether you are for print, photographer, radio, there's a quiz that will be a certain platform. I'm not sure like which platform, but there is the relevant platforms where journalists compete. But if you are from Gauteng, you compete with journalists from Gauteng. If you are from Limpopo, you compete with journalists from Limpopo, and then 8 of you guys will get an opportunity also to travel to the final and stand a chance to win also. You see, like everyone wins.
Hey.
And also with the initiative CSI, goal per game. If a goal is scored within 90 minutes, we saw a game of Pirates and Supersport, even though the Pirates won 3-1, but we only managed to collect 40,000 towards charity because the other goals were scored extra time. But with Stellenbosch, it won 3-1, so we managed to collect 80,000. So we are sitting with 120,000 in a kitty box. So everyone with MTN wins.
Listen, I love the fact that you know your script off by heart. I don't know how long it took you to know it, but I love it.
The learned
I'm part
man.
and party. I'm part and parcel of MTN. I love this trophy, even though we have a love-hate relationship.
Love-hate relationship with it.
I have to quickly get your guys' thoughts on the top 8. I mean, it's something that's so unique to South African football. It's been happening since the early 70s. So in all our time, we've always started the season with an MTN8, so to speak. The importance of it and how it contributes to the excitement of the league early, because sometimes you have to wait till Boma December in other leagues for a cup competition. The fact that we start with one now, how does it add to the excitement of the league for the fans and the players and the staff, everyone involved, in your opinion?
Let alone MTN coming early in the season. Remember, it's back then, like you said, a league was 10 million. MTN8 was 8 million.
Yes.
So that was the quickest way you guys can get close to that 10 million prize of the league. So you winning 8 million early in the season, already you are short 2 million, and there's so many trophies to come. And that's the motivation for us players, for each and every team, and for supporters also. It's good because like when you have a trophy early in the beginning of the season, like it gives that vibe, because the cup games are never the same as the league games.
No, never.
Because it's all out attack, there's more goals, there's mistakes, and you know supporters, they go to the stadiums to see goals.
And I think we have it best here, because if you think about the other countries, other leagues like you mentioned, maybe in England they have a community shield, and in Spain it's the Super Cup or whatever, it's a once-off game.
Sure.
Whereas here you get more games, and then you get the semi-finals with the home and away leg, which you can get. Maybe you can get a Soweto derby in other years, 2 times early, you know, before the season starts. So it creates greater excitement for the season coming up ahead already.
It definitely does. So, moving on. Musi, you also have had your fair share of misinterpreted quotes on social media.
Wow,
No, it's not that bad. So,
I'm hardly there, so I'm surprised.
So this was on Instagram. This was a time when you were Ahly and Majoro and Kaizer Chiefs welcomed you guys and everybody in South Africa, mainly the Sundowns fan, were appalled by that decision. And I think you wrote that it took 10 years, but you finally get to see the home's team change room. And a lot of people thought that, okay, maybe you're hinting that you're going to Kaizer Chiefs. Talk to us about that time, playing for Al Ahly, being welcomed at FNB Stadium.
Yeah, firstly, I want to say, if you've been part of the games at FNB Stadium or against Chiefs, you know, like, you're put one side, Chiefs is put another side, so you don't even see that side. So when we were there with Al Ahly, we were put in Chiefs' changing room, you know, to change and to get prepared that side. So I was like, finally, we get to see this side, you know. And people took it the way they wanted to. I saw people, I was getting messages asking me, am I joining Chiefs or whatever the case was.
Probably congratulations messages as well.
A few. And a lot of my family from Northwest was very happy. But like you said, we were welcomed very well by Chiefs that time with Al Ahly. I don't really know why people were upset, because when you travel to another country to play, you have to train somewhere. Maybe they were upset that it was Chiefs, I don't know. But we were welcomed openly, and we were given all the facilities, and it was a great time. I mean, being with Al Ahly, like you said, they have 70 million fans, you know, more than our country's population.
For sure.
So it's another level once you get into that facility, because not only the football team, at Al Ahly it's the volleyball, tennis, karate, gymnastics. That's why it's called Al Ahly Sports Club, not football club. So it's all around. So constantly when you're training, people are just watching, you know. We had a track around our course, so even before training, people are running around the track. Old men in jeans and Floshem is walking on the pitch or around the pitch, you know. It's a community team, and it was just an amazing experience.
So how was it for you? I mean, just going into the pressure of now this game day, because we know how North Africans are. It was one side to be in South Africa as Mamelodi Sundowns and be against them, and but to be there and be a part of that, how was it for you guys?
It was, first it was like a bit of a shock, but what helped is they had so many games coming that I think the day we arrived in Egypt, we still thought, you know, we're going to rest at the hotel, shower. They're like, no, you got training in 2 hours.
Sure.
You know? So we just got to the hotel, showered, went straight to training. And I think immediately once we went into the meeting, we greeted the players by name.
Nice.
And for them, I think that was a big thing, that you guys know us. We're not just coming here because you can, but you're coming here because you're almost worthy of being here. And it's amazing. Like, they expect nothing except victory. And it's such a big team that whether it's us or whether it's the next coach, that's all they expect, you know. And we were fortunate that they had knocked us out of the Champions League in the quarterfinal when we were with Sundowns, and we just arrived to play the semi-final with them, you know, which was difficult, which was against Wydad. And at that time, with Sundowns, we'd never won in Morocco with Wydad. So even when we went to Wydad, we're like, you know, we need to break this curse of not winning in Morocco, and we won. And then obviously the final of the century against Zamalek,
Yeah.
was something that was, I couldn't, everybody was under pressure except us, so it seemed, because people would always ask us, but why do you guys seem so calm? You know, and I think we just believed in our abilities, and we believed if we prepare the way we normally prepare, then the result would take care of itself.
Major, you've also played for two clubs that come with pressure, you know, Orlando Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs. Just, you know, also from your perspective, how was it playing for those two clubs, and also perhaps your welcoming from both camps?
Yeah, I must say, like, Chiefs was the first team that I played for, and as soon as I walked in the village, I felt as if, like, yeah, no, I'm in a different place. Not that, like, Amazulu wasn't giving me that professionalism, but I'm saying, like, in terms of the facilities, Chiefs has its own facilities. Everything that you need, it's within the village. Changing room, I see players that I was watching during World Cup, and now they are my teammates, and for me it was an exciting moment that comes with pressure, like you said. But I think it was a blessing in disguise for me, because I played with people that believed in winning and that knew how to win, and that sort of rubbed off from me. And me being a competitive person, I always try by all means to become better. And there is pressure everywhere, be it in a small club, big club, but it is different when you play for these big teams, especially when you lose in a derby. You're even scared to go to the garage to pour petrol, because you'll hear and one thing that I've learned to make peace with, there are those supporters who don't even watch the game. They will say Uzdlisile. Even if you were injured and you're not even in the team, they will say Uzdlisile. And you see, the kind of pressure that you feel when you play for these teams, like whether you're injured or not, when the team loses, you also feel it, that like we lost. And I think it's a good thing, because it helps you. It shows that like we are a team, whether I'm playing or not. And it's one thing that I believe like most teams they must have, whether you are within the team or not. You must consider yourself part and parcel of that team that lost over the weekend or that won.
Now, Clauie's asking me what it's like to play for these big teams. You've also had the pleasure of playing against a very big team that's in the same range as well, Ahly, that's TP Mazembe. That I'm speaking about. What's it like now playing against TP Mazembe in the Champions League? I think you played against them with Amazon, if I'm not mistaken. So what's that like?
And I think you played against TP Mazembe also. That's a hostile environment there. Like when you go that side, from the changing room, like I remember with Amazulu, our securities, they came running while the game was on. We saw them coming running from the changing room, like, hey, they said, like, hey, buy a shy. And then you ask yourself, like, what's happening? So I think these people, they really love football, and then they try by all means to win the match. And their supporters, they also play a role in that. I'm not saying like we must also do the same thing, but it's not easy to go play out there, and for Sundowns to constantly be doing it effortlessly, like props must be given to them, and it is an interesting tournament, and I enjoyed it.
And the interesting thing about you, Major, and I don't know from your perspective, but from us looking outside, you look at 2011 to 2013, maybe you can add in 2014. That's where we think that was your best football, where you played your best football, because you also include the AFCON.
Because I was playing for Chiefs.
I didn't say what club you were playing for, but where you played your best football.
But those years that you mentioned, like it's
but
the
you also
Chiefs
Bafana.
era.
Also Bafana, you were there for Bafana, and you did well for Bafana as well. So allude to us, what do you then now, when you look back, think led to that, you know, where you played what we think was some of your best game?
Can I just throw something in there, part of that question? One season at Amazon, before you moved to Chiefs, so you have to include the Amazon first season, because also you arrived in the bang in
He
Amazon.
was included.
So I'm saying, let's extend that question, the time period, the first season in Amazon, because it wasn't long before we noticed you, even as commentators and such. And when Chiefs came and scooped you up. It was no surprise to us. Which, yeah, no, that guy is, yeah. I'll tell you about Lady Plan. Who knew those footballers from Lady Plan? But anyway.
Tulipo was there. Efa, Ntebotiu, Mohau, yeah.
That guy's hell of that. You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, you know, for me, you hit the ground running. And for a good number of years, the first 4 or 5 years, you really were hot. So,
Yeah, I must say, I wouldn't really say after those years that you've mentioned, like I dipped or I feel as if like I never gave my all. I believe like the first season at Amazulu was because of the hunger that I had. I've been trying, people don't know like how many times. I started training with Pirates. I went for trials with the Pirates first team, 2007. I trained with them. I played one friendly match with them. I went to Supersport 2008. Trained. I did preseason with them. Coach Gavin Hunt running, doing push-up bleep test. Have you ever done the bleep test with a push-up?
Mabena hasn't done anything fitness. That's the wrong guy you're asking.
no, I'm trying. This is the 90s.
I'm just saying, like I'm just trying. Before I answer your question, I'm just trying to show you,
paint the picture. For sure.
paint the picture why everything panned out to be the way. Because people think he's so lucky. Like we all had our ups and downs. I was on the verge of being signed by Golden Arrows in 2009, but it never happened. And then it came when 2010. So that thing of like now finally I've signed, now let me showcase why I've always wanted to play here. So like I think it was the hunger mixed with the joy of finally achieving what you always wanted, and that's why maybe I managed to score. But each and every team that I've played for, I can never think of any team that can say like Majoro, you never did anything for us. I've scored for all the teams.
Well, you wouldn't be major if you didn't score now, would you?
No pun intended. Yo, that was.
And the goal you scored at the AFCON as well.
You see, AFCON one was one of my highlight of my career. I don't want to lie, because I think I celebrated 5 times. I don't know, like I ran to the corner. They pulled me back. I broke loose. I went back to celebrate because, like, that feeling, like, it's unmatched. Like, you can never compare it to anything. Like, that goal for me was everything.
It was. And I mean, as you're speaking about, you trying and trying, Musi, I know as well that you also have the eye for, for talent, because I remember in one of your interviews where you were alluding to the fact that, Coach Pitso Mosimane will trust your opinion about a certain player. If you recommend a player, he will, chances are, listen to you, and because he trusts your opinion. Talk to us about that eye and also perhaps the talents that you've seen in the country.
Yeah, I think the setup that we had, especially with Coach, allowed us to be able to identify players a little bit easier, because we had certain boxes we wanted to check for a player that we wanted to bring in. And so immediately when I was looking at players, or whether the other guys were looking at players, within a 20-30 minute period of watching the game, you could tell if this guy can tick some of those boxes or not. So it made it easier. So even if instead of looking at 100 guys, you'd already narrow it down to 10, and maybe follow those 10 for a month or so. Then you could narrow it down to 5 and 3, something like that. And every once in a while, there's a player who just like stands out. I remember like when we brought Castro to Sundowns, he wasn't actually playing in South America at that time. He had some difficulties or something, and I was in Cape Town on holiday actually, and Coach told me, listen, there's this guy we need to check out, get a couple of his games. I managed to get a couple of games. I think within the next hour I phoned Coach and I was like, he can definitely play for us, and the other guys said the same thing to Coach as well, because it's not only my opinion, but as a technical team, 3-4 guys would watch games, and everybody had the same conclusion. And I remember with Castro, because he wasn't playing, we had to bring him on trial. And the day he came for trials, for some reason, everybody was at the club that day. Everybody wanted to watch, and I think within the first 10 minutes, like people were clapping at a trial, because of the control and the way he finished. And similarly to Major, for example, I watched him play a lot of times, and maybe what people don't know about him is, in terms of off-the-ball movement, I think it's probably, I would put him as probably in the top 3 in
Sure.
since I've been in the PSL
Yeah.
with off the ball movement, you know. He would be one. Kama Billiard would have been another one I would mention,
Nice, yeah.
with good off the ball movement as well. So those are the things we'd watch for, not necessarily what you do on the ball,
Yeah.
because especially as a striker or an attacker, you're not going to get on the ball as much as a midfielder or a centre back, you know. But the 10 times you are on the ball, can you make it effective? You know.
Sorry, when you speak of Castro, he fitted in so well to that system you guys had at the time with Dolly and Billiard. What, outside of, let's say, his touch and so on, but what was it you looked for especially that impressed you in him? The way you thought, work with Billiard.
Yeah, so for us, the most important thing was to have a front four, if I can put it that way, that could play in all 4 positions. Across. So you can play strikers because the game would demand certain things. There was a lot of games we used to play with Leo. He would start off a striker, and maybe we score, and it's a difficult game. I remember a game at Supersport was a very difficult game. I think Kama scored, we were leading 1-0. And we're like, Leo, we need you to go to right wing. And when the fullback goes, you have to go with him. And he's like, no problem. And so we ended up playing with, I think, Kama or Percy as the one up front because we can break out. But Leo had to defend and he had to follow the fullback. You know, so it wasn't necessarily, like you say, he had good touches and good finishes, but it was, can you work alongside these guys? Because we didn't want anybody to know who the front four is. We didn't want you to know who the striker is at a certain point, because 10 minutes in we could say, Percy, you go up front, Leo come as a 10, Kama and Keegan on the side. Or we could change it, you know, so it was depending on the types of players you had. We played Supersport once and we had identified a weakness with their fullback. Don't want to mention Boxall. I don't know if you remember Boxall. And literally we were going to play the same, except we told Keegan, stay with Boxall. Just keep him there. Don't worry about us. We'll defend. We'll do whatever. Stay with Boxall. And if you watch that game, it was probably one of Boxall's most difficult games ever. And probably Keegan's best. You know, because you could hear the guys speaking, you know, but we're Swana. You know, you know, something like that, you know. So we wanted players who could just play any position. And even if you look at Sundowns today still, it's pretty much the same, you know, because you can get Shalulile as a striker, as a winger. I remember when we played them against Ahly, they played Shalulile on the side, which caught us off guard first, you know, because the centre backs had been preparing against him, or watching his video, those kind of things. Our fullbacks have been preparing maybe against the Temba Zwane, against the Gaston, and then all of a sudden it's a Shalulile.
Mabena, why do you have to ask? But fine, go ahead.
It goes back to the Kaizer Chiefs thing, where you guys came in maybe with the Kaizer Chiefs, Kaizer Chiefs as a training ground and so on. But what's it like then being on that side of the fence, coming into South Africa to come play against a South African team, South African crowd, but you're on the wrong side of the fence here, so to speak. What's that like?
First, it was good for the food. Like, like coming back and having good food, you know. But it was hostile.
Really?
It was hostile. I can put it this way: there were people who were happy we were here. Because some people want to see you go forward in life, if I can put it like that. It's new frontiers. It was we're in a new space, and they wanted us to succeed. Some people were upset that we had left. So you got a bit of the good and the bad with that. But obviously, I think you all know about the situation when we went to the stadium. There was people who, you know, said things that are below the belt. And football is a sport and it's entertainment at the end of the day. But some people take it more personal. Like Major said, a guy who didn't watch the game can be on your case. You know, and for me, I don't like to say it, but that draw that we got that day was... It's definitely, I think, this is my top 5 results that I've had in my football career. It was personal. It felt personal. You know, so it was good to be home, and it was good to do what we had to do here. So, I enjoyed it.
So now I can ask my question.
Please go ahead.
Oh my goodness, you took him all the way that side.
Fighting temptation.
Hi, Major, please.
Always fighting.
We're not fighting. We're just asking. So Musi, in terms of, I mean, you mentioned Castro, Kama, right? And Keegan, and you look into how their careers then panned out and how they lived, and it wasn't the same. What fans would say, no,
Yeah.
it's not the same players that they were at
Yeah.
Mamelodi Sundowns. So I want you to talk to us about that system that you allude to, that you might get the player, but you're not going to get the same out of them
Yeah.
if that same system doesn't complement the players.
Yeah, so you know, I think Major can also comment to this.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's about like the team that you play with first, and as a coach or as an analyst, I can't tell a player how to play football. The reason they're at those teams is because they know how to play football. But there is a 1% that coaches can get out of certain players that maybe other coaches can't get out of other players.
Yeah.
And players will often say, I played my best football with this guy and with these players. You know, and a simple thing like the coach leaving or a few players leaving might change the trajectory of the season for that player, because there's such finite details into how you play.
Yeah.
You know, when we were at Sundowns, for example, Sompo always used to find Langerman. Without them talking, it's just something they could do. And maybe Major in his life had a midfielder or a defender who could find him consistently,
Yeah.
you know, and those things affect your numbers, affect your performance as well. You know, yeah.
Major, you can jump in and talk synergy as well, because you know that all too well. And I mean, I remember listening to one of your conversations as well, where we were talking about, you know, some underrated players. But talk to us about synergy, how important it is for footballers and how you get that.
Yeah, I must say, especially for me as a striker, like
Yeah.
there's a lot of players that maybe most people never thought they played that much of a role, but for me as a striker to score goals, they did. For one will be Edamazulu, Sibusiso Kgarebe, the Shorty.
Yeah.
Like Shorty played a huge role because just like Shaba at Chiefs, they had a thing of always seeing me when I make this off the off the ball movements, runs behind the defense or on the shoulder.
Yeah.
They had that timing of giving me that ball, and they encouraged me to make more of those runs, because I knew if I can make 5 runs, at least 3 or 4 balls will come to me, and that it's motivational to me. But if you are a player, you go to another team, you make those runs, you don't get those passes. It discourages you from making those runs, and as a result, like, it affects your performance, it affects your impact within the game. And those are the small things that you can overlook, but they really play a huge role.
And
There was
Mabena,
a
I
time
remember,
when
no, you're not
Kevin
doing that.
Swan-
No, you're not. Sizwe
Kevin
Mabena,
Hunt.
behave.
Kevin Hunt.
We've got guests
It was
here.
Kevin Hunt.
Sizwe Mabena.
Okay, fine.
All right.
Mom, Dad, don't fight, don't fight.
Go fight, it's Women's Month. It's Women's Month. Everything is
We're
right.
fighting in August, yes.
It's our birthday.
Oh, it's your birthday.
Yeah, it was my dad's birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Dad.
Happy birthday.
Oh, happy belated birthday
yeah.
to your dad. Hopefully he had I think it was turning 16, eh?
Yeah, 10 and 16.
Turned 16, yeah. So hopefully he had a good one. So what I was going to say, Mabena, I remember we've had a conversation about Tabang Munari and how underrated it is. And I think, Major, you're the perfect person to talk about Tabang, because you've played with him and you've watched him grow. Talk to us about also why you think he's underrated.
You know, those players who does the job without making a noise. Tabang Munari is one of those. He covers the most distance within the field, and most people will never see that, because he's not the one who gets at the end of the build-up or at the end of the ball that was won in our box and it ended up being a goal. They don't. I like the fact that his work ethic, the manner in which he's comfortable on the ball, he can play both short and long range passes as a midfielder. And for me, he's more like a complete. When you want a person that can grind in the middle, he's there. When you want a person that can build up, he's there.
For sure.
You played with him at Vets, no?
I played with him at Vets.
Exactly where I was going to.
No, but
Kevin Hunt,
listen,
at the
I
end of one
just
game,
gave you a
listen to this.
perfect ball, hey? I gave you a perfect ball, so take it and finish it.
Kevin Hunt at the end of one game, what you're saying about Tabang, praised you in a game where you didn't score. And I was so impressed with what he said, because I don't think we all see it, but we didn't appreciate it until he said it, I think. Where he said, no, Major did so much with his movement off the ball, what you're mentioning, and the work rate you're putting in at the front to open the game. It was a tough opponent, I just can't remember who, but you guys had won. and he attributed the man of the match to you, and you hadn't won the man of the match. And he was
Because
saying
Sizwe
it's all
Mabena
the
didn't
work
vote
put
for you,
into
by
it.
the
So- Wow. But he was saying it's all the work you put into opening up the opponents and the hard work you put into it, which after he said that, I got to appreciate it. But when a coach like Kevin Hunt speaks that highly of you and says, look, sometimes Majoro is not about the goals. It's about the work he does for the team. How does that make you feel about your overall game and not just the goals as a striker?
And now we can go back to Chloe's thing. When she said to me, 2011 to 2013, I as a player, I believe like going to Vets really put back that spark within me. Because Coach Kevin is one of those coaches that knows what he wants, and he gives instructions the way he wants it. And he will always say, you can never be absent within the field, in a sense of, as a striker, you cannot be giving us goals and also not defending. So that means like you are absent within the field of play. So you rather add value. If you can't score, help us defensively. If you can't score, help us create. So for me, I think Coach Kevin Hunt is one of the coaches that really reignited the love and the passion that I had in football, and I believe I was in my best shape when I was there.
I won't mind if
Super
it's boy.
Sport,
I won't fight you. You're good.
Well, there's something cooking there.
I know they were
There's
cooking it,
something
but
cooking
still,
there.
bro.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was good times. But Musi, before we wrap up, because I see we've run out of time, you're currently in South Africa.
Yeah.
What's the plan? Are you here permanently? Are you guys still looking for a job? Because I know you guys work as a team, so where you go, Coach Pitso will go. So what's the plan there?
Yeah, I think that will be better answered by the powers that be. As for me, I'm taking a liking to playing golf. So I'm trying to learn how to play golf. I'm watching a lot of Olympics. And yeah, I'm around. We're around.
You're around.
For now.
For now.
Yeah.
I like the for now part. Major, when you're busy striker coach. And I've actually seen you in action. He's really good, Sizwe Mabena. Yeah, no. He's doing a stellar job. I've seen you with young kids. I know you also at UJ. Talk to us about that. And of course, we know that there was a time in South Africa we were like, hey, the goals are not coming. So how is it looking underground?
Yeah, no, I'm glad that you asked this question because I was going to announce it, but soon. I'm not going to announce it now, but it's something that I'm doing. I'm going to have my own academy for strikers.
Nice.
I have love and passion of seeing people score goals. The sound of the net is the one that fulfills me. You understand?
Yeah.
So I've worked with youngsters, and we've always had this thing of here in South Africa we say we celebrate a striker when he has scored 10 goals, 15 goals. But throughout my career as I've played football, we as strikers, when they say we're doing finishing in a month, I'll say maybe 3 times, 4 times. That will say that as a strikers will say like we did finishing, not the one that includes fullbacks, midfielders, like as a strikers, maybe twice if you are lucky. So I've learned that repetition is the key to success. The more you take shots at training, the more confident you get. The more you get to learn how to kick the ball. And one thing that I'm implementing in my coaching as a strikers coach is creating different scenarios in and around the box. As goalkeepers, they train in and around the post. Strikers must also train in and around the box, create scenarios. If you are on the right side, how do you finish? Which kind of technique do you use? If you are marked by 2 defenders, what kind of movement must you make? Those double movement, like you move this way and then you quickly change your direction, because as a striker, truth be told, the defenders are trying to take time and space away from you throughout 90 minutes. And you as a striker, it's your job to try and regain that How do you do that in terms of your movement?
Oh man, absolutely love that. And unfortunately, we're gonna have to leave it here because you've got daddy duties to get to. So we'll come back when you announce your retirement. Nah?
My retirement. You guys
Yeah.
want me to retire?
How?
Certain people they say last dance, others say retire. Which one? Because wherever I go, people will say like, "Hey, Majoro, hey, when are you going back to the club?" Hey, I say like, "I know. Hey, we need goals."
You know when I'll know you've retired? When I see you playing the Legends game we were talking about.
Which game? Oh, when you see me.
When I see you playing Legends game, I'll be
it's
like,
official.
okay, now.
Then
I
you
can get a
don't
call
know.
up, maybe fitness, and I go back.
But guys, thank you so much for joining us. It's been absolutely amazing. Short time, very short. Hopefully we'll get an extended time before you leave, before you retire or go back to playing, whatever you decide.
Before I leave, also maybe.
Before you leave, maybe. Okay, there might be something in the pipeline that is cooking there. But that's how we wrap up the Arena Sports Show. It's been absolutely amazing. Hopefully you enjoyed it as much as we did. But for now, it's cheers. Goodbye.